This is the story of the Bible, and the history of the world is given to us by God. In the beginning, God, just Him, no one else. God told us that He is a spirit who is not a physical being. He is not something or somewhere in the universe. He created the entire universe. Before all things in creation, there was God. He created all things. Genesis chapter 1. He did it in 6 days, literally, as we see in Exodus 20:11. When He finished, it was very good. He is a spirit, and by His unimaginable creativity, He made everything we see, hear, touch, feel, taste, wonder about, etc. He made all things. His word tells us that all flesh is not the same flesh, but that bird, beasts of the field, fish and mankind are made differently. He says that everything reproduces after its kind. Nothing reproduces another kind. He made it all just the way it is today. In the beginning it was perfect, it was very good. It was the human form of Jesus, who is the image of God, that He used as the blueprint for His design. While Jesus told us that God is a spirit, we also know that the divine expression of God, the Word, the image of God, was something that God had imagined, the physical form of man. And this was the image in the mind of God at the very beginning, whereby all things were made by Him and for Him. Before the birth of Jesus Christ, God manifested His image on the earth several times to people in an angelic form with Adam and Eve, Abraham, Jacob, Moses, etc. This image, or divine expression, was made flesh in the body of Jesus Christ. God actually became part of His creation by being born into it as we are. He is amazing beyond comprehension. He made us in His image, not only of His physical image, the body of Christ, but in His spiritual image, our soul as well. He created our 5 senses, the beauty of canyons, lakes, rivers, oceans, mountains, animals, birds, fish, etc., the universe and the galaxies and everything in them, the music that we love, joy, laughter, humor, smells, touch, taste, the human form in all of its complexity and beauty, the mind. He knew that given free will and left to our own devices that we would fall from His intended purpose and that we would sin. His plan was and is to save as many of us as is possible. He gave Himself as a sacrifice for us so that we might be saved from our sin and return to the glory He intended for us from the beginning. He's growing His crop, so to speak, and the culmination of His plan is coming to the full and is about to be a finished work. In the beginning, He put Adam and Eve in the beautiful Garden of Eden. They only had one rule: don't eat of the tree in the middle of the garden. Satan, one of the angels God created when He created the universe, lied to Eve and deceived her. He asked her if God really said that. This is the same way He deceives us today a lot of times. God gave us His word, though, so we can check to determine what He said by reading and studying it. The devil played on her pride and told her she could be as a god herself. She believed him and ate of the tree. Adam listened to the voice of his wife instead of obeying God and ate as well when she gave him some. We don't know how long they were in the garden before they sinned, but we know it was sometime before Adam was 130 years old. Because of their disobedience, God expelled them from the garden and changed things in the world. Thorns and thistles came into being, pain in childbirth, having to till the ground by the sweat of your brow to grow food, having to submit to another's rule. We know that Adam and Eve had many children, Genesis 5:4, but we're only told about 3 of them: Cain, Abel, and Seth. Adam lived a total of 930 years and had many sons and daughters. In the process of time, sin began to rule in the hearts of men. Within the first 130 years, Cain killed Abel because he was jealous of the favor God bestowed on Abel. Abel's offerings were acceptable to God. Cain's offering were not acceptable to God. He was probably unwilling to give God anything good from his harvest. It is unknown how many other children had been born by then, but we know that Cain took a wife of one of his sisters or cousins. There would have been many generations already flourishing on the earth at that time. A very conservative estimate, the women only having one daughter every 20 years, is that there was likely over 1 million people on the earth by the time of Jared, and over 1,000,000 years later at the time of the flood. The lifespan of people before the flood was in the hundreds of years, and they were having sons and daughters continually. Seth was born when Adam was 130 years old to replace Abel, who was the descendant that would produce the line which eventually produced Jesus. In the time of Jared, who was born in the year 460 AA after Adam, other selfish and wicked angels like Satan, came to earth and corrupted the people of the earth by taking human wives and teaching them many evil things like war and the tools of war, abortion, witchcraft, and sorcery, etc. By the year 1550 AA, after Adam, there was only evil continually in the hearts of men, and the earth was filled with violence. Genesis 6:5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Genesis 6:11. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. Because of that, God destroyed the earth, but thanks to Noah, he spared mankind. Year 1656 AA, Noah loved the Lord and was obedient to him. Noah was the great-grandson of Enoch. Noah and Methuselah, Enoch's son and grandfather of Noah, preserved the words of Enoch. Noah was 600 years old at the flood and lived another 350 years after the flood. Noah only had 3 sons that we're told about, and no mention of how many daughters. The flood lasted a year. God opened the windows of heaven and the fountains of the great deep and flooded the entire earth. He preserved every kind of animal, and Noah and his family on the ark that he had Noah build. God warned Noah of the flood about 120 years before he destroyed the earth with the flood, and Noah built the ark sometime in the later part of that 100 years, most likely. After the flood, in the year 1946 AA, a man named Abraham was born, about 300 years after the flood. And because of the changes to the earth, the lifespan of men started dwindling after the flood. Abraham had a 175-year lifespan. Some lived a few hundred years after the flood, but now they are dying sooner and no longer having very long lives. This was mostly due to changes in the earth from the flood, and it seems obvious that this was planned by God to sustain until now without too much overpopulation. Abraham loved the Lord, so God chose Abraham to be the father of a people for himself, Israel. The world was already turning to sin, violence, and wickedness again, so God chose a man who loved him to separate a people from the world through him. Abraham had Isaac, and Isaac had Jacob, whom God renamed to Israel. Jacob, Israel, is the father of 12 sons who became the 12 tribes of Israel. God made a covenant with Abraham and promised him that his seed, offspring, would have the land of Israel, and his seed would bless all the kindred of the earth through Isaac, his son. Many years later, around the year 2500 AA, God brought the Israelites out of Egypt and led them to the Promised Land. Before they had moved to Egypt, Joseph, the great-grandson of Abraham, was sold by his brothers into slavery. Joseph never lost faith while a slave and in prison in Egypt. God gave him dream interpretation to impress Pharaoh. Joseph became the ruler of Egypt, second only to Pharaoh. He saved his family from the famine and forgave his brothers for selling him into slavery. The Pharaoh brought Joseph's family to Egypt and gave them the land of Goshen, a very fertile and pleasant part of Egypt. There they became a great nation in Egypt over the next couple of hundred years. Numbers 146 shows that there were over 600,000 men of military age while they were in the desert after coming out of Egypt. When you factor in the elderly, women and children, and the tribe of Levi, there would have been at least a couple million of them easily. During the time in Egypt, they were enslaved by the Egyptians, which God allowed because Israel worshipped the false gods of Egypt. Joshua 24:14, Now therefore fear the Lord, and serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the flood, and in Egypt, and serve ye the Lord. But God had mercy on them, and God used Moses to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. The power of God bringing them out was awesome. He sent many plagues against Egypt so they would give up and let the Israelites go. God opened up the Red Sea with walls of water on both sides so the Israelites could cross, and then collapsed the water on the Egyptians behind them. Later, when Moses was on the mountain with God, getting the law and the 10 Commandments, the people turned to worshiping a false god, a golden calf. They spent 40 years in desert because they did not trust God to lead them into the Promised Land. But even their garments did not wear out the whole time, and God provided food. God established the law in the wilderness to be a schoolmaster for us to know it's impossible to be righteous in our own strength. At the end of the 40 years, God brought Israel into the Promised Land, the promise he made to Abraham. Israel is established forever, and God put his name in Jerusalem. Israel will never be wiped off the map, as the Muslims are trying to do. Jesus will return and defend Israel when the Antichrist attempts to wipe it out in the last day, but Israel disobeyed God when they came into the land originally. God knew that if they left the peoples and married the women where they had false religions, that the Israelites would be corrupted. They disobeyed God and allowed some of them to live among them. Because of this, they became corrupt many times during the next centuries, and the Philistines, Palestinians, are still a problem for Israel today. Judges 2:2-3, and ye shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. Ye shall throw down their altars, but ye have not obeyed my voice. Why have ye done this? Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you. But they shall be as thorns in your sides, and their gods shall be a snare unto you. After they had come into the promised land, then began the time of the judges. For about 450 years, God established judges over Israel to help decide matters of dispute among the people. During the time of judges, the people did what was right in their own eyes, and according to the law established by Moses. Then, at the end of that time, they wanted a king like other peoples around them had. 1 Samuel 12:12. And when ye saw that Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, came against you, ye said unto me, Nay, but a king shall reign over us, when the Lord your God was your king. Now therefore behold the king whom ye have chosen, and whom ye have desired. And behold, the Lord hath set a king over you. Acts 13:21-23. And afterward they desired a king, and God gave unto them Saul the son of Chis, a man of the tribe of Benjamin, by the space of 40 years. And when he had removed him, he raised up unto them David to be their king, to whom also he gave testimony and said, I have found David the son of Jesse, a man after mine own heart, which shall fulfill all my will. Of this man's seed hath God, according to his promise, raised unto Israel a Savior, Jesus. David, the great king and a man after God's own heart, is the ancestor and bloodline of Jesus Christ. David began the golden age of Israel. Solomon, David's son, was the wisest man who ever lived. The next 500 years was the time of the kings, 2 Samuel 1 and 2 Kings 1 and 2 Chronicles. In the Bible, 2 Samuel and 1 and 2 Kings are telling us of the same period of time as 1 and 2 Chronicles. Because of their sin of allowing the people of the lands with false religions to stay when they came into the promised land, the people of Israel went back and forth over and over, turning away from God to worship the false gods and then turning back to God. God forgave them every time they turned back to him. Some kings were evil, but some were good and cut down the groves, destroyed the high places, etc., to eradicate the worship of false gods. Then, at approximately 600 BC, 3400 AA, the time of the Babylonian captivity began. Prophets like Ezekiel and Jeremiah prophesied of the wickedness of Israel and how God was going to allow Babylon to conquer Israel. Daniel, a young man at the time Babylon conquered Israel, was taken to be a slave in the palace of Babylon. Daniel becomes a high official in Babylon due to God's favor on him because he loved the Lord. God gives Daniel dream interpretation and many prophetic visions during his time in Babylon. Daniel 2 records Daniel interpreting the dream of Nebuchadnezzar and the prophecy of the line of kings who control the known world from the time of Babylon until return of Jesus. Prophecy of Daniel, the line of kings from Babylon to the return of Jesus. Babylon, Babel, controls the known world at this time. This is the beginning of the prophecy of Daniel 2. Daniel interprets the dream of King Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel chapter 2. He saw an image that had a head of gold, breast and arms of silver, belly and thighs of brass, legs of iron, and feet of iron mixed with clay, with 10 toes of part iron and part clay. Each of these sections represents a world-dominating power. Many nations have existed since that time, but the sections represent world domination of the known world, as stated in Daniel 2:39. A very popular theory for this passage is that it is a parallel prophecy of Daniel 7, where it lists the 4 kingdoms that will exist at the time of the return of Christ. This cannot be true for a couple reasons. First, there are 5 sections to the statue in Daniel 2, and there are only 4 beasts in Daniel 7. Second, if we continue to read Daniel 7:11, I beheld then, because of the voice of the great words which the horns spake. I beheld even till the beast was slain, and his body destroyed, and given to the burning flame. As concerning the rest of the beasts, They had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. We see that the fourth beast, the little horn, the Antichrist and his one-world government, is destroyed, and the other three beasts, the lion, bear, and leopard, have their dominion taken away, but they live on for a while. If this is a parallel prophecy with Daniel 2, then the empires, Babylon, Media, Persia, Greek, Roman, would all still have to be in existence when Christ returns, but they are not and cannot. This is definitely a different prophecy with kingdoms differing from the kingdoms we see in Daniel 7. The common factor is that they end at the same place with the return of the Lord. So we know for certain that these are consecutive kingdoms and are not the same nations we find in Daniel 7. But like other prophecies discussed in this book, the two have a common intersection at the end, when the stone smote the image and became a great mountain. Verses 44 and 45 tell us that it's the same declaration as we found in Daniel 7:9. It is the end of this age when the Lord returns, casts down the nations and the governments of the world, and sets up his kingdom on the earth. Lastly, in Revelation 13, we see that the four beasts of Daniel 7 become one beast, the united government of the Antichrist, the New World Order. All four beasts exist at that time. They are not kingdoms of the past. The 5 sections of the statue in the dream are as follows. The head of gold, Babylon. Babylon ruled until the Medes and the Persians conquered Babylon in 539 BC. Silver, Media, Persia. The Medes and Persians ruled until Alexander the Great defeated them in 331 BC. Brass, Greece. The Grecian Empire lasted until the Romans defeated them in 197 BC. Iron, Rome. The Roman Empire lasted about 500 years until it decayed from within and was overrun by barbarians around 300 AD. This was the largest of the empires controlling most of Europe and the Middle East nations. In 325 AD, Emperor Constantine created the Catholic Church in an attempt to reunify Roman rule, and as time went on, the Roman Catholic Church grew in power within the western splinter of the old Roman Empire as well as the Eastern or Greek Orthodox Catholic Church until Charlemagne was crowned Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire in 800 AD. During this same period of time, the Islamic Empire in the Middle East was rising and became the Islamic Ottoman Empire around 1300 AD. Iron and clay, Holy Roman Islamic Ottoman Empire. The iron is mingled with clay because it's a continuation of the Roman Empire via the Holy Roman Empire, but was broken in 2 parts, coexisting with the Islamic Ottoman Empire. The Holy Roman Empire controlled the nations of the Northern Roman Empire, Europe, while the Islamic Empire controlled the Middle Eastern nations of the Roman Empire. Both of these empires together comprise the total area controlled by the Roman Empire. The language used in this prophecy says that this kingdom is divided, and partly strong and partly broken. It is divided because it is 2 kingdoms who controlled 2 halves of the area around the Mediterranean Sea, and were constantly pushing back and forth along the border between them. The Holy Roman Empire was founded when Pope Leo III crowned Charlemagne in 800 AD and proclaimed him to be the first emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. The Holy Roman Empire has risen and fallen many times since then, partly strong and partly broken, and has always been ruled by both a religious leader and a political leader. We still have a Charlemagne Prize, which was awarded to Bill Clinton in 2000 and was awarded to Javier Solana in 2007. This prize is awarded to the person who does the most for the reunification of Europe. The Islamic Empire began after Muhammad created his monotheistic Muslim religion, and it spread rapidly among Arab nations. It, like the Holy Roman Empire, rose and fell many times, partly strong and partly broken, until the Ottoman Empire was founded around 1300 AD and continued until 1923. The modern Arab League mirrors the EU in that is uniting the Muslim nations in the same type of economic cooperative, but membership is based on its Muslim culture rather than geographic locality. Both of these empires still exist in spirit within the nations they controlled, the EU and the Islamic nations of the Middle East. The Bible tells us that the Antichrist and the false prophet of the Bible will revive and unite these 2 kingdoms to create the end-time world government, the New World Order. This is the iron mingled with clay that follows the Roman Empire. the last kingdom that will exist before the return of Christ and will be the power base that the Antichrist uses to control the world. The 10 toes agree with the 10 horns, or 10 kingdoms we talked about in the Modern Nations in the Bible chapter, meaning there will be a 10-nation or 10-state union in the end time that will produce and give power to the Antichrist, as shown to us in Revelation 17:8 through 14. Based on everything we know today, it's almost a certainty that the 10 nations will emerge from the Islamic nations, giving their power to what they will believe is their Mahdi, the Muslim Messiah. It's also almost an absolute certainty that European nations will be part of the New World Order, and the 3 other kings of Daniel 7 will come from Europe and Russia. Verse 44 predicts that, in the days of these kings, in the days of the Holy Roman Empire, will the God of heaven set up his kingdom, which shall never be destroyed. This is the same declaration as the one we saw in Daniel 7 and the 7th trumpet, Revelation 11:15. And the 7th angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, "The kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever." That means that the Holy Roman, Islamic Ottoman Empire will be the last world dominating power and will exist when Jesus returns to set up his kingdom. I am certain that this will be a union of Roman Catholicism and Islam, as you can see in chapter 7 on my website, BibleProphecyandTruth.com. Next, we have the prophecy of Daniel's 70 weeks to give us even more information about that last ruling body. 70 weeks of years prophesies a 490-year prophecy, but the last 7 years are broken out from the bulk for a reason. Daniel 9:24 through 27, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins and to make reconciliation for iniquity and to bring in everlasting righteousness and to seal up the vision and prophecy and to anoint the most holy. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublous times. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the Prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. And the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolations are determined. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. The first 69 weeks were fulfilled after the command to rebuild Jerusalem, given in Ezra, 483 years to Jesus Christ. He, the Prince that shall come, the Antichrist, will confirm the covenant for 1 week, a week of years. The final 7 years are yet to come, and will be marked by the confirmation of the covenant, which will be when the world, the UN, EU, Arab League, and other nations of the world, defines the borders of Israel and establishes the status of Jerusalem. The timeline we have so far from Adam to Abraham was about 2,000 years, and from Abraham to Joseph was 250 years. Joseph to Moses approximately 200 years, about 400 years total from Abraham to the Exodus. Moses to David 450 years. David to Daniel approximately 500 years. Daniel to Jesus about 600 years. 4000 AA, 0 BC AD, Jesus Christ was born. From approximately 0 to around 33 AD, the following were all fulfilled. Jesus was born, and God himself was manifest in the flesh of Jesus Christ. John 1:14, and the Word, the divine expression of God, was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. 1 Tim 3:16, and without controversy great is the mystery of godliness. God was manifest in the flesh, justified in the Spirit, seen of angels, preached unto the Gentiles, believed on in the world, received up into glory. The Jews didn't like what Jesus taught and preached, so they killed him. He died sinless but was tempted just as we are. He paid the penalty for our sin and died in our place so we can live into eternity with him. He rose again after 3 days. He spent 40 days with the disciples and taught them many things, of which only some is shown to us in the New Testament epistles. He was seen by hundreds of people and confirmed to be risen from the dead. 1 Corinthians 15:4, and that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day, according to the Scriptures, and that he was seen of Cephas, then of the 12. After that, he was seen of above 500 brethren at once, of whom the greater part remain unto this present, but some are fallen asleep. After that he was seen of James, then of all the apostles. And last of all he was seen of me also, as of one born out of due time. He was then taken up into heaven, and is now the right hand of power of God, where he is the body of God, the image of the invisible God, the express image of God's person. Luke 22:69. Hereafter shall the Son of Man sit on the right hand of the power of God. Mark 14:62. And Jesus said, I am, and ye shall see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, and coming in the clouds of heaven. Colossians 2:9. For in him, Jesus, dwelleth all the fullness of the Godhead bodily. 2 Corinthians 4:4. Christ, who is the image of God. Hebrews 1:3. Jesus is the express image of his, God's person. Colossians 1:15. Jesus, who is the image of the invisible God. The next thing in the timeline is in 70 AD, where Jerusalem and the temple are destroyed, as prophesied by Jesus. Matthew 24:1. And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Then we have John imprisoned on Isle of Patmos for his faith in Jesus. There, John was given the visions of Revelation, the revelation of Jesus Christ. Jesus is the mystery of God, therefore his revelation is monumental. John is told of the things which must shortly come to pass. In 325 AD, the world saw the inception of the Catholic Church, which is almost a certainty to be the opening of the first seal in Revelation 6. And finally, the remaining seals and trumpets and prophecies of the last days, including Daniel's 70th week, 2,000 years from Adam to Abraham, 2,000 years from Abraham to Jesus, 2,000 years from Jesus to now, the last day, 2,000 years after Christ, now, the time of the Antichrist and false prophet. The final week of Daniel's 70 weeks. The whole world will be fooled by the false prophet doing miracles in the sight of men. The wrath of Satan, the Great Tribulation. Islam, the coming one-world religion of the Antichrist, hates Jews and Christians and will hunt down and kill all Jews and Christians during the last 3.5 years. Jesus returns and treads the winepress of the wrath of God. He will take his people to be with him first, in the clouds. The bowls vials, the wrath of God, are poured out to destroy them that destroy the earth. He destroys the Antichrist and false prophet. Jesus sets up his kingdom on earth with us to rule and reign with him for 1,000 years. Many people die during the wrath of God, but there are some left after his wrath is finished. After the 1,000 years is finished, the devil is destroyed along with the remaining wicked people who follow the devil, and Judgment Day comes. 7,000 years total, including the final millennium. The full plan of God to bring us to the next new beginning. Eternity with God where we live with him forever. A brand new universe and a brand new earth, all for us to enjoy for eternity. Revelation 21:3. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain. For the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. No more pain and no more sorrow ever. Walking and talking with Jesus as he lives among us. Exploring the new universe, I think it will be amazing beyond comprehension.
For more information, go to BibleProphecyandTruth.com. If you're watching from YouTube or Facebook, you might not see a link in the description because I'm being punished for speaking truth and they've blocked my ability to add links. The censorship of YouTube, Google, Facebook, and virtually all big tech is an attempt to silence anyone who goes against the narrative of the woke and the agenda of the secret society, sometimes called the deep state and other names. They will shut down all who speak the truth sooner than later, so you will want to leave those platforms and move to platforms that allow free speech, like Rumble. Go to rumble.com/BibleProphecy and follow my channel there because they will cancel me on YouTube very soon, I'm sure. See you there.